It's time for our first market update of 2026. What's happening in Solano County? If you look just at the numbers, it's going to feel like a slow and sluggish market, but I'm here to tell you I'm seeing something otherwise. I'm going to give you some real life examples so you understand how to interpret the numbers. We're going to talk about interest rates, where they're projected to go, especially with the new Fed chair being appointed. What about home prices? Are they up, down? Are they staying steady? Days on market, how to interpret them for our county. If you are a buyer or seller in Solano County, this video is for you. Hey there, welcome back to my channel. I'm Erika Monroe. I'm a realtor in the Bay Area, and I specialize in helping buyers and sellers in and around Solano County. There has been a lot of hope placed on 2026, especially in relation to interest rates. Right now, we're hovering right around 6.1%. Compared to last year this time, we were hovering in the 7% range, so definitely a marked improvement. Unfortunately, interest rates are not projected to have a steep decline. Most economists are projecting for rates to continue to hover in the low sixes, possibly dipping into the high fives. Now, the big change is that Jerome Powell will finish his term and there will be a new Fed chair appointed, likely to be Kevin Warsh, which is Trump's appointee. And he has been critical of the Fed chair for not reducing rates. His intention is likely to do some rate cuts. However, he has historically been known as an inflation hawk. He really wants to consider inflation. If rates are cut too low, that's going to stimulate the housing market, stimulate the economy, going to put pressure on inflation, which is likely to increase. And that's going to be a huge challenge. So most are projecting that rates are going to stay right around the low 6% range. So as a buyer, waiting may not generate the rates that you're hoping to see. Hopefully a trickle down, but again, no large projection for significant cuts. Now that leads me to days on market, or how long a house has been sitting on market since it was first listed. This used to be a really helpful tool for buyers. Typically, if a home sat for more than 3 weeks or 21 days, they could almost certainly anticipate some sort of price reduction or some wiggle room. Solano County on average is sitting at 60 to 64 days on market. So that 21-day marker is no longer a signal to buyers that a seller is going to be desperate and wanting to negotiate. For example, I have this gorgeous listing in the gated community of Rancho Solano. Everything's been updated. We've had really strong showings, great open houses. We generated an offer in the 3rd week, and because this buyer had been shopping in other counties, which tend to be more aggressive, they saw that the house had been on market for 21 days. They felt that they had a lot of room for negotiating the price point as well as credits, and the sellers were just not having it. Their expectations are at list price, especially this early into listing. They felt like they priced it accurately and appropriately for all the upgrades that are offered. So it just goes to show that days on market aren't necessarily a tool that you can utilize without getting more information. Another example, I was just involved in a multiple offer situation. I was representing the buyer. The house had been on market for more than 100 days. The seller did a price reduction, but that occurred right before the holidays, and the buyer pool was very small. So it took for the holidays to pass, more buyers to enter into the market, and shockingly, it generated multiple offers. So that may be a little bit unique, but you just can't count it out. You really need the background story. How motivated is the seller? What is their expectation? Does it align with yours? Is there a happy middle ground? What about home prices? Are they up? Are they down? Are they staying steady compared to last year? Well, it depends on what consumer site you look at. And it's crazy because they're all dealing with the same data, but their algorithms are screening for different components. So key point, don't rely solely on consumer site estimators or home value estimators because they cannot tell you the full story. They can't weigh in on improvements. They can't look at disclosures to help you understand truly how to estimate value. In my opinion, values have mostly stayed very steady. There are going to be exceptions. Sometimes homes are overpriced. It's hard sometimes for sellers to have seen where their home was priced a few years ago and understand that there has been some market correction, there has been some softening in values, but they might want to try their hand. Maybe they're not in a rush, so they'll try a higher price point, give it a few weeks, and potentially consider some sort of price reduction. Some sellers have digested that we have seen softening in prices, and they have appropriately priced their home for the market. It's just taking longer for homes to sell. Home prices overall, in my opinion, have stayed pretty steady. Many are projecting for moderate increases over the next year. I think it'll depend on how interest rates fare and how many buyers enter into the market, but there does not seem to be an anticipation that there'll be a steep decline in home values. You can't solely rely on stats to be successful as a buyer or seller. You really need in-depth information to help you understand how to navigate this market. So where does that leave us for the rest of 2026? Are we going to have a strong spring market? I have already seen a huge uptick in buyer activity. I think for the most part, buyers have just digested that this is where rates are going to be, and they can potentially refinance if and when rates do come down. I've also had many more conversations with sellers who have probably also digested the interest rate because they're likely going to have to buy again. They may have the golden handcuffs of the 2 and 3% interest rates, but the house may not be serving them anymore. So I think a lot of sellers have determined that they're just going to have to pay a higher interest rate to move up and get into the next home that's more suitable for them or their families. So I would anticipate more inventory to come out in the next 30 days or so. If you have any specific questions about our market you'd like to work together, please feel free to reach out to me. I would be honored to help.